everybody? Tito here, and in this video we're going to be basically clearing up the confusion for some people out there. I know a lot of you guys know what these two different variations of Android are, but there are a lot of people who are really confused about it, don't really understand what Android One is and what Android Go is. So this video, I want to go ahead and clear that up for a lot of people out there so that way they have a clear understanding of what these two things are. So never mind Android as a total or as a whole. Everyone knows what that is. It is the operating system for smartphones that is open source and widely used across different OEMs such as Samsung, LG, Motorola, HTC, Huawei, ZTE, Kyocera. There's different ones, Oppo, OnePlus. You guys get all of these manufacturers run Android, okay? So it's not just Samsung, it's not just Samsung Galaxies. All of them run Android. They just all have the different spins on Android. And but there's Android One and there's Android Go. And I want to clarify the differences between the two. So Android One basically is just pure Android, okay? So in mind, the devices selected by Google run a pure experience of Android. The idea is to have everything that you would need without having any unnecessary apps. Now, but that's, you know, in the eye of the beholder, because some people will find slides, documents as applications that they don't need, thus being bloatware, thus being people want them off their phones. But there's not a lot of caked in bloatware from carriers or from manufacturers. So no specific applications built to run on Android from the OEM, and no bloatware from providers such as Verizon, Boost Mobile, and etc. Android One is just to be a pure experience. In a way, kind of like an evolved form of Nexus. Because we do have the Pixel devices, and Pixel, while people will say is the next evolution of the Nexus brand, it's really not. Pixel devices is basically what Google has backed. They put their stamp of approval on it. So it's like, you know, Apple has iOS as an operating system, has iPhone as the hardware holder. Well, on the Google side of things, you have Google as the company, Android is the operating system, and Pixel is the hardware that holds the operating system. So in a way, while one can say that Pixel is the evolution of Nexus, you can also say that Android One is also the evolution of Nexus and more closely resembled because it is not hardware specifically for Google. So Motorola can build a device and be a part of the Android One project. Nokia has actually built devices that is part of the Android One family. So with it, technically you could just say that Android One, i.e. is the new line of Nexus in a way. Now, what is Android Go? Android Go is the operating system of Android that is optimized to run on very low-end devices. Because OEMs build phones from the flagship, most powerful devices to a very low and weak spec device. Now, when I say weak, weak isn't compared to what is about what you could say mediocre out there. Mediocre devices are running 16 gigs of onboard storage. They at least have 2 gigabytes of RAM. They are running octa-core chips, all the shebang, and they're roughly anywhere between 100 to 300 bucks. Okay, but you have low-end phones that are only like 30 bucks that are still running only 8 gigs of internal storage and 1 gigabyte of RAM. If a phone is put out with less than 1 gig, that's going to be pretty crazy because it was about 7.5 years ago where we had devices that only had 512 megabytes of RAM. So the idea with Android Go is to bring an enriched experience with Android on a device that has very little specs to work with, but still give a good experience. So instead of having, Android with a skin on top of it from the OEM that pretty much bogs the phone down and makes it run like very sluggish, Android Go is the answer to alleviate that and have the phone run as if it was a $200 phone. That's the idea of it. So apps should fly in and out, going in and out between them. And there are specific apps that are pretty bulky and use a lot of CPU. And so there is a Go version of those applications that basically give the essentials of what the app needs for you to use and everything else stripped away. So Maps Go allows you to map certain places. What it doesn't do is a lot of the intricate features of what Google Maps does as far as getting directions and getting turn-by-turn directions and things like that. So there are other applications within the Go family that are basically optimized to just run bare bones in that sense. So in this video, hopefully it cleared up the differences between Android One and Android Go. And if I was able to clear that up for you, then I basically did my job today. So drop a like if that makes sense with you guys, if you guys understand it. And if you just subscribe to my channel, thank you so much for doing so. And you can hit that bell option to know when I upload a video. But yeah, until then, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. That was like a really weird, what is that? Aloha.